Hello and welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm John Bachman. With us now from our New York studio is former Senator Arlen Specter. Mr. Specter has released a new book titled Life Among the Cannibals, A Political Career, a Tea Party Uprising, and the End of Governing as We Know It. Mr. Specter, it's great to have you with us.
Glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks very much.
So tell us, who are the Cannibals?
The Cannibals are senators who are devouring other senators. The Cannibals are the people who drove Senator Bob Bennett out of Utah, who had a 93% conservative rating but couldn't win a Republican primary. The Cannibals are the ones who drove Joe Lieberman out of the Democratic Party, couldn't win a Democratic primary. The extremists on each side have taken control of the government, and that has resulted in gridlock, and that has resulted in the failure of Congress to do its job, leaving the American people in great peril.
Well, in your book, you write that President Obama and Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid failed to support you for your re-election bid after you played such an instrumental role in the passage of the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare. Did Senator Reid and President Obama break any promises that they made to you?
Harry Reid flatly broke his promise to give me the seniority that I had as a Republican, that it would be the same as if I had been elected as a Democrat. When I provided the 60th vote for the Affordable Health Care Act, President Obama, as had Vice President Biden, urged me to become a Democrat and to support the president's program. I had provided the key vote in the passage of the stimulus bill, and after the stimulus bill was passed with my key assistance, there were irreconcilable differences between the Republican Party and me, and President Obama said he would support my re-election effort, and when the crunch came close to the time of the election and my prospects looked difficult, President Obama didn't show up.
Well, has either the President or Senator Reid apologized to you for that betrayal or retreat?
Haven't talked to either of them lately, but the answer is no.
Now, is that disappointing to you? Would you like to make amends with either one of them and work with them in the future?
Well, in my line of work, you don't get disappointed. You try to move ahead. I wrote this book, Life Among the Cannibals, because I know where the bodies are buried in Washington. I've had the unique experience of being in both the Senate Democratic Caucus and the Senate Republican Caucus, and have given the details as to what's happening with our political system, and have provided my idea of an answer. Let me give it to you very briefly. Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska was defeated by the Cannibals in her primary by the Tea Party and led by Senator Jim DeMint. She then waged a write-in campaign and really miraculously, in an unprecedented move, won a statewide office on a write-in. Do you know how hard it is to spell Murkowski? And the lesson from Lisa Murkowski's experience is that if the public is informed and if the public is motivated, then the center can defeat the extremes on either side.
Let's talk about the Affordable Care Act now. It's in the hands of the Supreme Court, and you were that 60th and deciding vote that caused its passage. Now, in the months before the vote on health care reform, you faced backlash from your constituents in Pennsylvania during those town hall meetings. And currently, most polls show that the majority of America does not want Obamacare as a whole. Now, given all that's happened since the legislation was first passed, what is your opinion of Obamacare now?
Well, my opinion of Obamacare is that it's important for the future of America to provide affordable health care for every American and insurance. And the Social Security system wasn't really appreciated when it was enacted, nor was Medicaid, nor was Medicare. And I've had some rough town meetings because I go out and face the people. During my 30 years in the Senate, I made it a point to visit almost every county every year. When I went to Lebanon County in August of 2009, the crowd was really whipped up by the Tea Party. and a man charged me, waved his fist in my face, came within about 3 inches of my nose. It appeared the next day, a picture of us, the top of the New York Times. I held my ground and told him why I had done what I had done. The act is constitutional. It's a legitimate exercise by Congress of the authority under the Commerce Clause, and I hope it's going to be upheld. With the ideological court we have in Washington today, its chances may not be too good, but if it passes, years from now, people will look back on it as they look back on Medicare and say, great.
Well, this weekend on Meet the Press, President Obama's campaign advisor, David Plouffe, called Mitt Romney the, quote, godfather of the health care law. Now, in the initial discussions of Obamacare, how often did Mitt Romney's Massachusetts universal health care law come up? And was Obamacare viewed as the same kind of concept, the same health care program, except on a national platform?
Governor Romney's plan for medical care had the mandate. That's the key part of Obamacare. The mandate that people have to have insurance. Millions of dollars are spent each year, perhaps billions, on people who get free medical care. And the statistics work out that it costs every American $1,000 for the people who are uninsured. And this is an interstate problem. Romney's plan came up all the time as a solid precedent for citation to pass the Obamacare plan.
Now, did you mention it by name? Did you refer to Mitt Romney? And did you view it as a success story when you guys were initially discussing the Affordable Care Act?
Well, I didn't spend a whole lot of time talking about Mitt Romney then, and I don't now. I looked at what the act provided. You had the precedent in Massachusetts. It wasn't overwhelming. It was significant, but it definitely was a precedent.
Well, you also played a pivotal role, of course, in the passage of the Stimulus Act, Dodd-Frank legislation. Between your votes on the Stimulus Act, Dodd-Frank, and the Affordable Care Act, which one do you think played a bigger role in your 2010 defeat?
No doubt about the stimulus vote being the critical vote which led to my alienation from the Republican Party and the Republican Party for me. Before the stimulus vote, I had a clear path to re-election. Pat Toomey, whom I had defeated narrowly in 2004, had announced his intention to run for governor. And when I cast that vote and the bottom fell out of my approval ratings among Republicans, Toomey decided to run for the Senate. Meanwhile, Joe Biden, whom I'd been riding Amtrak with for 30 years and been urging me to become a Democrat, as had Governor Ed Rendell. Rendell and I have been friends for decades. I gave him his first job out of law school. My ratings were high. I wanted to stay in the Senate to move ahead with important work I had been doing, funding for the National Institutes of Health, the work I'd done on the Judiciary Committee, where I chaired the hearings of Roberts and Alito, the work I'd done on developing the replacement to the Philadelphia Navy Yard, deepening the port, a lot of important projects. And I made the switch. When Reid reneged, double-crossed me on my seniority, that was a key factor in my defeat. When you're in the Senate for 30 years, you have a lot to offer the voters. If you don't have seniority, it cuts your legs out.
Well, so I guess that was the final straw that eventually caused you to leave the Republican Party in 2009. Let me ask you this. Mitt Romney recently used you and your relationship with Rick Santorum in a negative campaign ad. The ad calls you a liberal, pro-choice, and pro-big labor. I'm sure you've seen the ad. Do you think it's fair, and have you talked with Senator Santorum about it?
Well, I think that Santorum supported me for re-election just like I supported Santorum, was very instrumental in getting him elected in 1994. When I heard the debate with Arlen Specter, I thought for a while I was running for president. I made an effort for the Republican nomination back in 1996. With all that publicity, I've been thinking about throwing my hat in the ring again. They may have a brokered convention. Who knows what's going to happen to the Republican Party?
Now, when you vote in November, how much does your Democratic Party affiliation matter in the presidential race and for your vote?
I'm Citizen Arlen Specter. I'm not Senator Arlen Specter anymore. In the Senate, I was very independent. I agreed with John Kennedy, who said sometimes party asks too much. I'm not too happy with President Obama, don't like his Afghanistan policy, spoke out against it on the Senate floor. No sense in putting 30,000 more troops in Afghanistan. There are no Al-Qaeda there. We don't have an argument with Taliban. I urged him not to extend the tax cuts when I was in the Senate in 2010. Mitt Romney changes his position so often. I think Bill Maher had it right. Romney changes positions more often than a pornographic movie queen. But we're going to see a reset, Mitt Romney, and I'm going to take a look at the candidates carefully and make an independent decision.
Do you see any circumstance in which you would vote for Rick Santorum over President Obama?
No.
Very simple answer there. Now, do you think...
very simple question, very simple candidate.
Well, do you think that the voters as a whole, aside from your vote, do you think voters can trust Rick Santorum?
Well, I don't think that there's any reason to distrust former Senator Santorum any more than anybody else. It's not a matter of trusting him. When the people of Pennsylvania had found out what his views were, he was defeated by 17 points in his effort for re-election in 2006. Look here, Rick Santorum doesn't believe that women have any place in the workforce. He doesn't believe in contraception. He doesn't have any appreciation for gay rights. He analogizes gays as a man on dog, on bestiality. He thinks that President Kennedy's historic speech in Houston was a violation, that church and state ought not to be separated. Next, Senator Santorum is going to attack Jefferson. So it's not a matter of trusting Rick Santorum. It's sufficient to hear what he has to say to have a solid basis to reject him.
All right. Well, Senator Specter, there has been some talk, that even though it may be small chance, there is a chance, or at least there's been some talk that Secretary of State Hillary Clinton might possibly replace Joe Biden on the ticket. Do you see any circumstance where that would actually happen? Do you think that would be a positive move for the Obama campaign?
I do not think it will happen. I think that Joe Biden has been a very effective member of this administration. He's experienced, he's sound in his judgment, and I've already seen bumper stickers. Obama and Biden cost him a lot of money to slice those in two and remake them.
All right, now let me ask you one more question. This weekend we heard President Obama talking to Russian President Dmitry Medvedev that he needed some space to talk about this missile defense shield in Eastern Europe. Do you have any concern as this relates to Israel? We've also heard President Obama very vocally come out strongly in support of Israel. Do you think that the people of Israel and Jewish Americans here in the United States and the American public as a whole can believe what President Obama is saying with his support for Israel, or do you think it's a tactic to gain support before the election?
I think that President Obama is speaking sincerely when he talks about assisting Israel. The United States and Israel have been close partners, shared values for ever since the Truman administration. I think that President Obama has from time to time tried to intercede as an intermediary and perhaps looks not as quite as strongly in support of Israel as some would like, but I believe he is sincere and I believe he will move to protect Israel. It's in the national self-interest of the United States to do that, so that there are more reasons than a very strong American Jewish presence. It makes sense for America for national security reasons, and that's critical.
And you, given what you know with your vast experience, there's been some talk that Israel might strike Iran sometime late this spring or before the summer. Do you see any scenario where that would actually happen?
Well, there's a lot of talk about a preemptive strike by Israel against Iraq, but I believe it will not happen. I believe that the sanctions are starting to bite in. I believe there can be further sanctions. I think as the matter progresses, there's more inclination on the part of China and Russia to oppose what Iran is doing. And I think that Israel realizes the unpredictable and perhaps terrible consequences of a strike. And I think every effort will be made to avoid it. And this is just my judgment, perhaps my speculation, but I think we will be successful in avoiding the strike, and we will see to it that Iran does not develop a nuclear weapon. That is unacceptable, but I think it has the potential to be cataclysmic to have that strike, and I think all sides will be smart enough to avoid it. At least I hope so.
All right, very good. Well, Senator Arlen Specter's new book is called Life Among the Cannibals. It'll be available Tuesday, March 27th in bookstores and on Amazon.com. Senator Specter, we really appreciate you talking to us.
Glad to be with you. Thank you.